15 minutes of Ants video.
I know, right? Fucking hell. How you doing, all you beautiful sons of bitches? It's your boy Max here, and today, me and John here.
Oh. Hang on. I'm getting video of you, but for some reason I'm not getting audio of you. Might dip out quick and come back in. Hang on.
Okay, well, anyways.
Oh, there. I hear you.
Never. Oh, yeah. Well, anyways, there we go. So me and John, we read a whopping 6 issues of the original Star Wars Marvel comics anyways, let me get my shit up here real quick.
And Solar tried to join briefly, but unfortunately was very under the weather.
Yeah, fucking sick as shit. Anyway. But anyways, John, so here we are. So we open up issue 19, The Ultimate Gamble. The crew of the Millennium Falcon have split up aboard the gambler's paradise known as the Wheel. While the droids 3PO and R2 take the unconscious Luke to the Wheel's medical center, the Wheel's administrator, Senator Simon Grayshade, arrives to have Leia brought to his quarters, and Chewbacca, having made his way to the Crimson Casino on the Wheel's upper level, is captured by members of the Wheel security force and forced to enter the big game. In the meantime, Han has entered into the big game, not knowing that Chewbacca too is a contestant in the gladiatorial event. This has all been arranged by Grayshade, who's working out a deal with Imperial Commander Strom to have all the rebels meet an untimely end on the condition that Leia be allowed to stay with Grayshade on the Wheel. So, John, thoughts on this issue?
Yeah, you know what? It's amazing how much more care they put in to make the villains logical in this than anything in like the whole modern era. Like, okay, like Grayshade, he's pretty much an unscrupulous, like he basically takes pride in his pragmatism, but he makes one exception that he really wants to bang Princess Leia. So he's like, you know what? I'll sacrifice all my logical shit, but I also got to make it believable. I'm not going to be quite like the Imperials where they're just like, oh, we should just kill them all. It's like, no. We got to make it believable. And we got to sell this shit because the citizens of the Wheel, they operate independently. So we need to make sure that any Imperial takeover is completely justified.
Yep.
And I like how they put over Chewbacca even whenever he's captured and stuff, because they hype up the one guy's like taking betting odds on like, oh, who do you think is going to win between the Wookiee and this really badass guard that we got who's been trained since birth in martial arts and everything. And then they're like, before they're even done discussing it, the fucking guard's thrown out and Chewbacca kicked his ass.
Fucking jobber, yeah.
Yeah, they just gotta stun him with all their security forces basically to put Chewbacca down. They're like, and even then they're like, holy shit, it took the maximum stun force to even put that Wookiee down.
Yeah, man, yeah.
So, you know, they managed to incapacitate a beloved character without, you know, making him seem like a shit or like, you know, trying to prop up anybody else. They're basically just like, holy shit, he's still awesome. And then Grayshade and Strom, they're like a good little villain alliance, because I think it's in this issue or the next one where they're basically talking about the mutual beneficiaryness of their relationship, where they're just like, you know, well, you know, if I expose you or if you expose me, we're basically screwed either way. So, you know, it kind of works out for us, but we got to make it believable, man. We can't just take over without thinking about it.
Yeah. Overall pretty good issue here. So then we move on to issue 20. As part of a plot to discredit the Rebel Alliance, Senator Simon Grayshade sets up a scene where a pleasure yacht is attacked by an X-Wing fighter, only to be repelled by Imperial TIE fighters. The scene is broadcast into the casinos on the Wheel, where the patrons watch in horror the viciousness of the rebels. Also part of Grayshade's scheme is to have Han and Chewbacca each killed while playing in separate events of the big game gladiator contest, but Han confounds them by defeating his powerful opponent, much to everyone's surprise. Meanwhile, the droids R2 and 3PO have been appropriated by the wheel and are scheduled to have their memories wiped when Master Com rescues them from their fate. The three droids then go to the medical center to see Luke, only to find that not only has he regained consciousness, but he has escaped.
Well, and this just shows like, and this is why Theory and them, that you can't just wiki warrior stuff. It's like that thing didn't mention anything about how Han pawns off the droids in order to get a
Yeah.
credit line.
Yeah, true.
which,
Yeah, that did happen. Yeah.
and he's been arranged to lose by Greyshade because Greyshade has already worked out this deal where he's like, no, Han's got to lose. And
He's rigging the game. Yeah.
yeah, I want to get him into the gladiatorial competition because I'm going to rig it for him to lose because he's a rigger, that damn rigger.
Damn riggers.
But and so he basically, and Han is given like amazingly great test scores so that he can be given an incredibly strong opponent even in the preliminary matches,
Yeah.
just so that he can presumably be killed by some giant four-armed guy with daggers that all like even one little scratch from them will fuck you over.
It is but a scratch. Yeah.
And so Han, like, he uses like his energy and he manages to use like a rock from the environment, his resourcefulness to he blocks the deck. What does he do? Like, because he makes the guy fall on his own dash.
Yeah, they give Han a shield and he like throws it like he's Captain America.
He makes the guy trip. Yeah,
makes him trip, fall on his dagger. So now he's about to fucking die. But he's like, I'm taking you with me. Yeah. And then Han like grabs a rock and like shields himself with that. So yeah.
Yeah, and so then the guy, like, yeah, the daggers are poison, basically. And so, like, as soon as you're scratched by one of them, you're going to die. So he manages to hold off the guy just long enough for that poison to take effect. And then he's through the preliminary rounds. But then, yeah, basically, he's the reason that the droids are in confinement is because he pawned them off for a credit line before that, where he was losing all of his bets. And so they're sent to that medical bay, but then I think it's in this issue or the next where the main like master computer of the whole wheel has taken an interest in them, in R2D2 and 3PO, because they've kind of shown some emotional connection to a human, and he's like, whoa, this is some crazy shit.
Whoa, yeah.
And so I want to
is this what you call love? Yeah.
It's like that Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode. They're like, we do all these things, but we cannot do love.
Yeah.
So yeah, it all makes complete sense the way that they're setting it up. And yeah, Luke finally breaks out of his coma, which they cover in a later flashback.
Yeah. And anyways, so then on to issue 21 here, Shadow of a Dark Lord. Leia escapes from Greyshade's suite where she was held captive and finds Luke, who's now recovered from his trance-like state. Luke reveals that his trance was caused by touching someone else's mind through the Force for a moment. Someone strong with the Force who he suspects to be Darth Vader. At the same time, Greyshade is meeting with his new partner, Strom, the Wheel's administrator who has secretly sent his Wheel security force to subdue Strom's troops and recover the money that they had stolen from the Wheel. And now that Han is getting ready to enter the main event of the big game, he realizes that Chewbacca is also entered in the contest, and according to the rules, there can be only one survivor. Meanwhile, on the planet Ultar, Darth Vader finds the remains of a rebel information retrieval team wiped out by the bounty hunter Baylor Valance. Vader realizes that Valance is searching for the same thing as himself, the boy who destroyed the Death Star 1. The race is on to see who finds him first. So, John, thoughts on this issue?
Well, and they're bringing it back around. They teased, the cyborg bounty hunter before this, and Vader even comments, he's like, oh, maybe I've got a rival and a pretty good one at that, but for right now that's not really important because somebody touched my mind in the Force. And they basically, through some interrogation, they reveal that, like, oh, this guy was on the Wheel, and he's like, okay, well, we gotta head there. Yeah, pretty much like what Luke basically like reveals that, yeah, it's probably Vader just basically because he's the only other one with the Force at this point since he killed
Mm-hmm.
Ben.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's pretty much process of elimination from there. And this obviously resolves. This is the first we've seen of Vader post A New Hope.
Yeah.
So he's recovered from his ship, obviously, and he's with some stormtroopers hunting down some rebel information.
Yep. Anyway, so then on to overall, pretty good issue. You can tell the plot's getting ready to advance and wrap up. And then we get to issue 22, To the Last Gladiator. Han and Chewbacca are involved in the main event of the big game, along with many other gladiators, and the two team up against the rest of the combatants to stay alive. But they realize that, according to the rules, only one of them will be permitted to leave the game alive. Gray Shade, who's been orchestrating events on the wheel, presents Leia with a proposition. Escape with Gray Shade and his stolen treasure, and her rebel friends will go free. As she contemplates her decision, she watches the main event with Han and Chewbacca and witnesses Han apparently slain by his Wookiee companion. Dun dun! So, John, thoughts on this issue?
Well, we had to know, obvious. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that Han's not going to die here because obviously he's around the subsequent movies, and they're not really permitted to kill him off in a comic like this.
No way.
So it's like, okay, how does he live? And I kind of speculated. I'm like, well, he either had a shield from the previous match that he used to deflect it.
John was correct. Yeah.
It was a ray shield that he took from, because there were all these exploding planetoids in the
they have the fight in like a zero gravity environment, and they have like these like explosive like mines rigged up to look like little planets, and if you bump into it, it blows up and you die. So
well, and kind of twice they use the chaos and you conceal some object in these issues because Leia is having a dinner with Gray Shade and she's like freaking out, being all emotional woman. She's like, wow, what the fuck? You betrayed me. And she's throwing all this shit around. He's like, oh, bitch, you're spoiling a good meal. And then she like kicks over the table and she
takes the knife. Yeah. She hides it. And then she uses that knife later on to like cut into the damn electrical fucking box. It's like, oh, and she also mentions like, hey, thank God I cut out a piece of the couch. It's like, how the fuck did you not get electrocuted anyway?
She sticks a knife in an electrical socket and unlocks the one door that she needs it to. So a little bit of luck there, but and then like Han kind of pulls a similar move where he uses chaos to conceal something, where he blows up one of those planetoids that's like a landmine in this 0G gladiatorial match, and there's like a fucking oh god, what's the name of the X-Men villain? The pterodactyl.
Sauron.
There's basically a Sauron lurking as the final opponent for Chewbacca. So Han's like, oh, Chewie, you gotta pretend to kill me, and he triggers the explosion. He takes the ray shield, stuffs in his jacket, has Chewie shoot him, and then Sauron comes in to kill him. He's like, Chewie, there's Sauron there. He's like, wow.
Fires. Call, bitch. Bam. Anyway.
So there it goes.
Yep, lovely. There it goes. So then on to issue 23 here, Flight into Fury, where we finally wrap up the wheel arc. As Gray Shade and Leia prepare to leave the wheel, Strom, realizing that he's been betrayed by Gray Shade, sends his stormtroopers to stop them. In the meantime, Gray Shade, tired of being upstaged by Luke's noble actions, decides to allow Luke and Leia to leave with their droids on his ship while he stays behind to cover their escape. After they depart, Strom confronts the wounded Gray Shade, intent on carrying out some revenge. Gray Shade foils that as well by tossing a proton grenade in Strom's direction, killing him, but also fatally wounding him and critically damaging his droid Master Comm. In the meantime, Chewbacca is leaving the main event of the big game with his partner Han, who, although seemingly getting killed in the event, now reveals himself to be perfectly healthy. The two make their way to the Millennium Falcon and leave the wheel just in time to confront Darth Vader's battlecruiser. But Luke, while piloting the space yacht, stuns Vader through the use of the Force for just long enough for both rebel craft to escape into hyperspace. So, John, thoughts on this issue here?
Yeah, so basically they're about to get pulled in, and the Millennium Falcon like blasts it, and Darth Vader's like, "Oh shit, that's a little bitch who attacked me during the Death Star."
Yeah.
Concentrate all fire on him, and then Luke is he's basically so concentrated and rage baited by Han that Luke is able to just slip in there, and Vader's like, "No,
No.
no."
Yeah, he does like some sort of he does like some sort of like telepathy, like kind of like what Xavier does with Magneto, where like once you get Magneto's helmet off, like Xavier just shoots like a mental beam at him, and that just like causes him to like get stunned and shit. Yeah, kind of does that. Yeah.
Pew pew pew.
Yeah, pretty much something like
And,
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Gray Shade, he was pretty funny because he's basically trying to get Princess Leia to fuck him this entire comic, and then he's just like, "Oh, you guys keep being so noble. She's not ever gonna want to be with me. Fine, I'll be noble." And
Yeah.
I didn't even realize they had killed them both off because they kind of leave them with that dialogue where they're like, "Oh, but if we do die, at least we're dying among friends." Because it's him and
Yeah.
his master computer talking, and the master computer is literally commented where he pulled off a very clever maneuver where he was like, "Oh, the Empire overrode me, but let me at least open the escape hatch for you here, Gray Shade." And then the
Mhm.
stormtroopers are like, "Fuck you," and they blast him. And he's like, "Oh, if they had just ordered me not to do that, I couldn't have disobeyed because I gotta follow protocols. But since they were just violent and blasted me, then I was able to basically use a self-defense mechanism in order to just keep obeying you because they never actually gave me an order to do the opposite."
Yep.
And then him and Gray Shade kind of have developed a camaraderie because, and this is where the master computer was really confusing me because he got his one body blasted apart by the stormtroopers, then he was following around R2D2 in a gold body, and I was like, this is just C3PO with a slightly different face.
Yeah, he's got multiple colored, different colored bodies. Yeah, man. Yeah.
It's like, why is C3PO talking like the man? Oh, it's because it's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a little bit confusing, but I got it after a panel or so, and it was like, "Oh, okay, that's the master computer." But yet, even these little side characters that are killed off in one story arc, they spend more time and attention to than Benicio del Toro's character in more recent Star Wars projects.
God, have they
They
done? Has that guy ever fucking appeared in anything else after Last Jedi? I don't think he did.
not. He's just there because they had famous actor. He was
Oh my
popular from
God.
Sicario, and they were like, "Oh, cast him in the next one."
Oh my
Give
God,
him a
fucking ridiculous.
stutter.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, but
But
yeah.
yeah, so but they have him and Gray Shade have this epic death scene where they're standing up for the rebels. And and Luke, he's got a beautiful golden mane in this
Yes, his hair's like a lot longer than it typically is in this comic. Yeah.
They have him go into that brief coma, and apparently that's enough time for him to just grow a giant bullet and shit.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Yeah.
and then Han Solo, he does the couple little passes. It's not really a repeat of the Death Star thing because he's basically just buying them time, and then Luke helps out as well. So it's a little bit of evolution of him in that he's able to kind of wield the Force briefly, just to mentally stun for a tiny bit.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. So overall, if you ask me, it's like, what were my thoughts on this wheel arc 18 to 23? Yeah. Overall, I would give it a thumbs up. But I guess if I had to be a nitpicky asshole, I would say that aside from them art flubs, I would say that maybe this arc was a little too long. It kind of felt like maybe they could have shortened it down to 5 issues instead of 6, because it definitely felt like it was dragging at points. But yeah, overall, it definitely is not a bad story. And 18 to 23 get a thumbs up from me. But anyway, so then we move on to the last issue that we reviewed, issue number 24, Silent Drifting. And yeah, so in this story, and for some reason, this story is set after 15. I don't know why they didn't just set it after like 23, but they said it after 15. So this is right after Han killed Crimson Jack and they were flying off to do the wheel arc. But anyway, so we open this story where after Han skillfully pilots the Falcon to destroy 2 TIE fighters, Leia mentions that Jedi pilots developed that same maneuver. She recounts Han skillfully pilots the Falcon to destroy 2 TIE fighters. Leia mentions that Jedi pilots developed that same maneuver. She recounts one particular event involving Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan, traveling as a passenger on a pleasure cruiser, is notified by Captain Quasar that Murson pirates have been spotted in the Murson asteroid belt. The attacking ships are quickly destroyed, but Obi-Wan suspects the Mursons to have been lured by a signal from within the cruiser. The other passengers immediately accuse Augustus Trill, a known criminal, of working with the Mursons, but Kenobi is not as quick to judge without proof. When more Murson ships are spotted, he realizes that the signal the pirates are tracking is originating from an innocent fermentation device on board the cruiser.
Mhm.
Once he destroys this device, the Murson ships lose track of the pleasure cruiser and danger is avoided. So, John, thoughts on this issue?
Yeah, well, it's cool. Like they're showing Obi-Wan in his prime, and they're not even talking about the Clone Wars and shit. They're basically saying like this is him traveling on somewhat of a neutral kind of vessel.
Yeah, it's
That's
like a
like
pleasure. It's like a pleasure cruiser. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, oh, it houses all these people, and only once the real danger starts is he like, hey, you're a Jedi Knight, right? You got like protect the innocent. And he's just like, well, I guess so. And he's in his like General Zod kind of outfit with his goatee. And Obi-Wan's just like, oh yeah, sure, I'll protect you. And he keeps denying the whole time. He's like denying drinks, denying stimulants. He says like, basically, I don't want anything unnatural. And then eventually that ends up being the resolution of the plot. Yeah, where he destroys that. And it's kind of what they've been using to track their ship they discover the whole time. And he does a little bit because, like, basically the maneuver that Han uses to destroy the TIE fighters is that they play possum. They act like they've been disabled and they trigger a fake explosion in their cargo to like be like, oh no, you made us blow up. And then they as soon as the TIE fighters get close enough, they vaporize the 2 of them.
Yeah, it's basically like getting them like one on your port side, one on your starboard side, and then like blasting them like from opposite directions. Yeah.
And so that's basically what like Obi-Wan does with a little bit of the lanes where they like drift into the correct position and then he vaporizes them. So that's pretty cool. And then Obi-Wan also like he demonstrates his smarts a couple times. It's he's okay with droids, which was already shown in A New Hope that he was like a little bit more tolerant than like the bartender and all them.
Yeah.
But he also demonstrates basically his smarts in a few different areas in this. They're like, hey, will you please take over? You're a Jedi Knight. And he's just like, all right. But you got to give me complete control, essentially. And, you got to obey whatever I say. And he goes a little bit unconventional in a few means. And the people basically are he's basically having to fight the crowd and, the enemies they're facing. So he's got a 2-front war essentially, and he navigates it pretty intelligently.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, my thoughts on this issue. This is the second issue that I'm gonna have to give a thumbs down for because basically I just thought this issue was like really useless overall. This felt like filler. So like what? Like I already mentioned this, but this taking place after like issue 15 was just really unnecessary. There's really no reason this couldn't have been set after the last issue we just read. So that's useless. I know I shouldn't fault this too much, basically, because they like the prequels weren't out yet, And, so they didn't really have an idea like what Obi-Wan was like, what everything before the OT was like. But yeah, I am gonna have to knock it a little bit for not keeping up with the retroactive continuity. But I will say, this story being in S canon and this being a story that Leia is relaying to everyone, this does give it some leeway, because the only way that I could see like the way this story's events take place is that basically like this was like some bedtime story Bail told Leia as a kid, and that what we're seeing is how Leia imagined the events. That's the only real way I can imagine like this story still being canon. But yeah, so there's that. And also it's like they didn't even like really reveal like if the fucking pirates fucking like actually fucking were led here by someone else, and like, oh, they were trying to set up Trill to be the fall guy. So if that wasn't the case, then that means that the reason the pirates even fucking found the ship is fucking stupid, because they forgot to turn off the damn drink machine, and that's what got them there. And if it was the case, then who the fuck led them there, and that whole thing just otherwise goes unresolved. So, it's like, this issue I'm also gonna have to give a thumbs down. But hey, only two issues where I give a thumbs down out of 24. That's still a pretty good track record, I'd say. You know what I'm saying, John? So overall, so far my thoughts on the series so far, because we are going to be taking a break from the series after this. Overall, like, I would say so far it's actually pretty good. I'm not really seeing like why people dislike it so much. Like, yeah, there's some stuff with the aging art and whatnot, but I mean that's just a product of the time. The stories like overall are still pretty decent. Fun adventures. I'm having a good time reading them. So yeah, overall it is a pretty good comic series. John, your thoughts on the series so far?
Yeah, they care way more about logic. They're not just explaining things away in one line. I know I like get on it for like over exposition at some points, but at least
they do. Yeah, they do recap over recap a lot of the comic, like just in case you missed the last issue. Yeah. It's like, oh my god, enough with this hand holding.
Which like somewhat makes sense with the time, because it's like, oh, these could be at a grocery store and you haven't read the previous however many issues or whatever. Information just wasn't as available back then, so I feel like recaps are more expected overall, whether it's movies or comics or whatever. But I feel like they are able to handle things. They care so much more about things logically making sense in a story progression than modern movies, which know that all that information is available, and they're just like, whatever. Like, they'll explain away some villain motivation, like Gray Shade and Strom teaming up will just be explained as like, oh well, we both want those rebels dead. Whereas this, they actually bother to explain like, okay, it's mutually beneficial. I can take you down, you can take me down, etc., etc. They bother to think about so many more things than modern stories. And it actually does get you way more immersed as a result, because you're like, oh, these are intelligent villains, and these are intelligent heroes, and they're put upon by their circumstances, but neither one of them just acts like fucking idiots in order to facilitate the plot. So and or they'll have like one character flaw, like Gray Shade is just like, oh, I'm way too horny for Leia, so I'm gonna do a couple of logical things. But even then, I even like readily admit it. I'm like, I'm really unscrupulous, but I really need to get with Leia. But like, oh damn it, it cost me in the end. And it's like, okay, I can respect that.
Yep. Well, So anyway, with all that said, guys, we're taking a break from this series. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up, comment on thought videos, subscribe for more videos like this. We'll see you guys next time in the backseat. Take care.